Teachers in West Virginia are on strike again this morning. We will have the latest developments. And President Trump is denying a new report that shows his relationship with his acting attorney went south after a confrontation about the Michael Cohen case. And we're learning who the president might appoint to be the new deputy attorney general after the departure of Rod Rosenstein.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News This Morning.
Good morning. It is 5:31 on Wednesday, February the 20th. I'm Will Puckett. Thank you for tuning into Mountain News this morning. It's raining. You don't need to know that, but it's how much of this rain are we going to get and how it's going to affect your day that you do need to know. So let's bring Brandon in this morning. And Brandon, what should people expect throughout the day?
Take the rain gear. You'll need it off and on throughout the day. But as we track out the door this morning, most of the heavier bands of rain have moved northward for now. We're going to see more fill in, though, as we head through the daytime hours, probably as early as late morning. Temperatures soaring down south, almost 50 in Monticello this morning. Still some 30s across parts of the upper Kentucky Valley and Big Sandy areas there. As we head out the door this morning, we're looking at some visibility issues, especially up north, so be aware of that as you head out this morning. Day planner, we're going to see temperatures climb to near 60. Maybe some thunderstorms later on this afternoon, but those rain chances around off and on throughout the day. The rest of the forecast is on the way here in just a few minutes. Will?
All righty, Brandon, thank you. West Virginia teachers will strike for a second day today. The strike is centered on a single state bill that would introduce charter schools to West Virginia and allow some public funds to go to private school tuition. The decision comes after the State House of Delegates adopted a motion to postpone it indefinitely, essentially killing the bill.
We're thrilled with the House. The House stood up for West Virginia instead of outside interests. It's a very positive win for the students of West Virginia.
Now, all of this comes nearly a year to the day after a 9-day strike last March demanding higher pay. Meanwhile, West Virginia Governor Jim Justice, who said in the past that he would veto the bill in its current form if it made it to his desk, held a news conference yesterday to share his thoughts on the situation. After last year's strike, Governor Justice sent a bill to lawmakers, giving teachers the pay hike they were asking for. The current bill would add additional items on the Justice's original bill, including charter schools, which led to the second strike.
I'm calling them to pass my pay raise bill, the bill that I sent up, the clean bill, that's a pay raise bill for all government employees. I'm calling upon them to do that now. Do that right now.
Now back to Kentucky, where Governor Matt Bevin hosted a roundtable discussion on health care and Medicaid reform yesterday afternoon. Hillary Thornton has the latest from Frankfort.
The discussion inside of the state capitol, including think tanks like the Heritage Foundation and the Pegasus Institute, along with Governor Matt Bevin and former Pennsylvania Senator and presidential candidate Rick Santorum, talking about a current proposal known as the Health Care Choices Act.
Takes the current flow of money from the Medicaid expansion and the tax credits and puts that into a block grant proposal, gets that money out to the states, and gives the states the flexibility to design a system that better meets the needs of that particular state.
And Kentucky is the first state for the Heritage Foundation and Santorum to visit on this campaign for Medicaid reform.
One of the reasons we came here is because Governor Bevin has been a leader on that. And so we thought, frankly, he was an easy mark.
Santorum referring to what he says has been innovative leadership by Governor Bevin in recent months implementing the Medicaid waiver program. Santorum says an argument often made at the federal level is that the states can't be trusted with the responsibility.
And so what we're saying is to states, prove them wrong. And Kentucky is one of the ones that's proving them wrong.
Governor Bevin saying Kentucky welcomes the responsibility and will take ownership in seeing healthier outcomes.
Coverage means nothing if it doesn't create access and if that access doesn't result in better health outcomes.
Hillary Thornton, WYMT Mountain News.
Now, it is important to note several groups are challenging Kentucky's Medicaid waiver program and expansion known as Kentucky Health in court. Well, today is going to be a busy day in Frankfort. It is the last day for the House to file bills for this session. Plenty have been filed so far. There's one big thing we are still waiting for, a pension bill. We know House Democrats have filed a bill to officially repeal last year's pension law. The Kentucky Supreme Court struck that down. And again, it's going to be busy outside of the House and Senate as well. Take a look. There's a full slate of rallies planned today. The rally to solve hunger kicks things off at 10 this morning. It's also Refugee and Immigrant Day. Then there's a news conference on a drunk driving law. The Rise Up Kentucky rally will wrap things up as well. Now, in honor of President's Day this week, Kentucky lawmakers went back in history during Tuesday's session. The General Assembly convened yesterday afternoon in the old state capitol's historic chambers. From 1830 to 1910, lawmakers worked inside the building on West Broadway Street. The Kentucky Historical Society says they wanted lawmakers to spend a day in the old state capitol to look back on the Commonwealth's history. Executive Director Scott Alvey tells us they were even prepared if someone chose to introduce a bill.
They are working every day on issues that need to draw upon history, and they're making history. So we're hoping that they understood that history is not just a thing that has happened, but it's an empowerment piece.
Now, Alvey says for some lawmakers, this was their first time seeing the old Capitol building. He is hoping it will not be their last. Well, as we reported yesterday, 16 states are suing the president over his national emergency declaration. Why is Kentucky not one of them? A spokesperson with the Attorney General's office told Courier Journal their office is watching the situation. The spokesperson says they don't know if moving money around in the national budget will hurt Kentucky. Until they know, they're holding off on a lawsuit. Well, a new report alleges President Trump made an unusual request of his acting attorney general while his personal lawyer Michael Cohen was under investigation. President Trump flatly denied a New York Times report that he asked his former acting attorney general to intervene in a hush money investigation. The Times reported Whitaker's relationship with the president soured after he refused to put U.S. Attorney and Trump administration appointee Jeffrey Berman in charge of the Cohen case.
Did you ever have any conversations with anybody about reassigning or firing any personnel, including U.S. attorneys with the Southern District of New York?
Congresswoman, I sit on top of the Department of Justice, as you mentioned.
Now, Whitaker's role as acting attorney general ended last week with the confirmation of William Barr to that position. Meanwhile, we are learning this morning that President Trump will nominate Deputy Transportation Secretary Jeffrey Rosen to be the new Deputy Attorney General. He will replace Rod Rosenstein, who is expected to leave next month. Rosen served as general counsel at the Transportation Department and in the Office of Management and Budget during the administration of President George W. Bush. A new branch of the military is one step closer to becoming a reality. President Trump has signed a directive to begin the process of launching his long-awaited plans to establish a Space Force. The new directive, titled Space Policy Directive 4, calls on the Secretary of Defense to draw up a legislative plan to submit to Congress, establishing the structure and authority of what the Space Force will be. The president says he expects Congress will support the plan.
The Space Force will organize, equip, and train the next generation of warriors to deter aggression and defend the nation.
Now, there has been debate on whether the Space Force will fall under Air Force control. President Trump has stood firm that this will be a completely new branch of the military. Air Force leaders worry a majority of their space-focused airmen will be taken away. Well, back to local news at 5:39. The body of a woman found in Knox County on Monday has been identified. Kentucky State Police say Shannon Harkins Womble's body was found in a shallow creek off of Ed Harp Lane. Families say they found the body when looking in the area where her car was found in January.
I started up through here, then I went back out, went up on the bank, started looking underneath these pine trees, and then it cleared up right in here. I looked down, I seen it.
Kentucky State Police say they have not been able to determine a cause of death, but they say there was no trauma to the body. A woman charged in a deadly Pike County crash will appear back in court May 9th. The grand jury indicted Kimberly Owens in connection with the crash that killed Shelby Valley graduate Lamont Jordan Wright. Investigators believe Owens made a U-turn while driving, causing the crash. She faces a murder charge. Coming up, one of the biggest names in fashion has died. We will take a look back at Karl Lagerfeld's life.
It'll be a soggy morning drive for a lot of people, and that rain will last most of the day and into the night. I'll have a look at some of the possible impacts in about 4 minutes.